Hey, good morning and welcome. This is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and welcome to day number 2 of Call Back Your Power. Now, we are exploring this theme for 4 days. This week, we started yesterday with hey, this idea that if you want to create anything in your life, you have to be in the fullness and the truth of your power. And we talked about some of the ways that we give away our power. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, I have all of this put into one playlist so that you can watch all of this sequentially. Okay. So, the idea this week, what we're doing in calling back our power, that it is something that we've given away, that it was either taken through abuse, right? Or sometimes we didn't know that we were actually giving it away because of our conditioning. And so today we're going to do some commands really more around owning your power emotionally, calling that back. And what does it look like? What am I talking about in that? Well, if you have ever been in a situation where you feel like, you know, no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter, what actions you take, it doesn't matter what your intention is, it doesn't matter how many discussions there are. Ultimately, the other person or some situation outside of you is going to win, right? Where we go, I don't even know why I bother. You may not even be aware that you've given away your power in a situation. You may only know that there's something about certain situations that are triggering to you. You get upset, suddenly you get angry, or all of a sudden your defense mechanisms are up, or you're collapsing and you're not able to take action. That's a sign that your power's been given away. You may have an experience where you feel like you're in a trance, like something happens, you're with a certain kind of person, and you just start going along with it and you don't even know why. That's a trauma response. I didn't know that. I was having this experience in so many relationships with men that I knew were not good matches, but something would happen and I would feel like I was just floating and I was just kind of carried along into the relationship. And I finally said, I got to get some help around this. What's going on? And before I thought, oh, here's my belief system. Let me do the energy work and everything else. But my counselor was so gentle and smart and to the point with me. And she said, Catherine, that's a trauma response. That's, from abuse. And what your subconscious mind, what you're unconsciously trying to work out here is the healing of that by going back through these relationships over and over again. Oh my gosh. And you know what I was doing? I was beating myself up more. I was traumatizing myself more for being in these relationships, for not having the power, for not being able to speak up. And this is the other way that we give away our power. We abuse ourselves and and are mad at ourselves because of something that's going on. I was listening to Mel Robbins talking to someone who was triggered and her anxiety was up because of the pandemic. And several years ago, she had had a big episode that landed her in the hospital. And she really had to work on her mental health and get her life back together. Well, all the pandemic, everything that's up and politically and everything else was triggering her. And what was happening was that she was not upset about the anxiety. She was ashamed that she had it. And so, in understanding that difference, that you got a circumstance that you don't like, and then somehow you're shaming and blaming and criticizing and putting yourself down and cutting off your power, rather than saying, this situation does not align to me. This is not who I am. This is not what I want my life to be about. We turn all that abuse inwards. And that's replicating childhood patterns. It all comes back to that. And it's not just when we were small and powerless, which most of it is before the age of 7. Surprising things, happen. Like another big period is when we're in those middle school years when suddenly we have to put ourselves out there, the whole world's judging us, and there's all of a sudden this extra pressure on us to perform as kids. There's more chores, more responsibility. You're supposed to be some kind of genius savant where you're excellent in all these different disciplines in class. You're supposed to be able to navigate all this social stuff. Your family is probably going through some stuff because about the time, uh, about 11 years in, or 11 to 15 years into a marriage, some cracks start showing up in a marriage or in the family system. There could be economic circumstances. There's all this going on, plus raging hormones, and your brain is doubling in size and your body's growing, and nothing is the same as it was, and you're completely overwhelmed. Yeah, that is another time when there's trauma. And then we can have accidents and certain circumstances that happen as adults too that sling us back. Okay. And if we are blaming ourselves, shaming ourselves, making ourselves wrong, we are cutting off our own power. Okay. So today we want to tune into how can we flip that script? How can we give back how can we pull back and reclaim our power and be able to face whatever it is that we're dealing with? And I'm going to tell just a little teeny story. Hey, good morning, Cindy. I haven't seen you for a bit. Good morning, Mr. David. Good morning, Lenora. Hey, I want to remind everybody, if you are watching on Facebook, to be sure and like the StreamYard app. Let's see, it will be either here to the right or the bottom, wherever you see the description. If you're watching on YouTube, I can definitely already see your comments. So thank you so much today. All right. Years ago, um, I was I was helping out my daughter Lauren. I'd help her buy a house, and we were so excited. It was a beautiful home in North Fort Worth, and Lauren worked in medical billing. She went to her job every day. I was running my business, and at the time, the growth in my business was just insane. I was running 3 groups at the same time, plus my appointment calendar was absolutely full. And it was a absolutely full day from the minute I got up to when I went to bed. And in the middle of that, I also, when this was the summer, I was watching my then, I think, 6-year-old granddaughter, Maddie. She's 17 now, but she was 6 years old. And plus, somehow I was paying all the bills, even though I was sharing the house with my daughter. And I was babysitting, and I was responsible for cleaning the house, and I was cooking dinner every night. And I was starting to feel more and more overwhelmed, and I was starting to, you know, just going, what is going on here? And the pressure was building, and I would pull in some help. I'd get some help, but the help kept just going away. And I don't know if you've ever had this in your business or in your life where it feels like no matter what you say or do, no one's going to help you. And they say they will. They start out real good, but then something happens. That's another sign that you've given your power away because you're not in your authority, right? So that was happening to me. People were committing to me. I was spending time training. I was paying really good money and teaching a lot too in order to help me in my business. And it just was getting to where it was more and more and more and more. And somehow I didn't know how to say no to this. Everything made sense what I was doing. And that's the other thing. When you're in a dynamic, you really a lot of times don't know that you're in it. You're not even aware of it until you start being in pain. And things aren't working for you, and the systems are starting to collapse and crumble a bit. Physically, we in the healing world, this could be a healing crisis, that it's time that whatever's been set up for you is no longer working, and it has to break down in order for the solution to arrive so that you can get the help and support that you need. Well, I was in a healing crisis, And it just felt like more and more and more was coming on. And then I was starting to get a little angry and resentful. And then I was like, why am I angry and resentful? I mean, um, the, we've had conversations and I agreed to it and I keep doing it. And I'm going, well, but this isn't working. But I didn't know why or how it wasn't working. I just knew it was too much. It was too much. And it just, and I was just I'm like a lot of people. I get on a track and I know that things aren't working, and I have to really commit myself to being in awareness because, like you, I have a tricky subconscious mind. My ego says, well, you should be able to do this. Why can't you do this? I don't know why I should be able to do this. I don't know why I can't do this. And it's not logical that I should, but I had this shame that I couldn't. Does that make sense? And everything just kind of kept rocking along, and I was getting more and more. And what was happening is there was so much good stuff happening. I didn't want to change anything. I didn't really have the mental or emotional bandwidth. Another sign, by the way, that you've given away your power to really make the change. You have to have mental and emotional space in order to make a change. So you've got to be able to see it. You've got to have room to do it, right? You've got room to even think about it. And then one day my daughter brings home a bunny. Her and my granddaughter went to a flea market, and they bring home this bunny, and they set up the bunny cage right at my office. And we have dogs that are fascinated with this bunny. And my daughter's like, oh yeah, it'll be so cool. We can teach the bunny to litter box. It'll be awesome. And I'm going, I can't handle it. I was already doing everything. I said, I can't believe you brought this bunny. And every time she let the bunny out, the bunnies chewed my phone cords. Every time. Computer and phone cords, that little bunny went right to it. And that meant all my work was knocked out. And it was like, I cannot handle it. It's like the bunny put me over. And it took being completely overwhelmed and having that one straw that just kind of like broke the camel's back. And I didn't have a big fit, which is my usual, like back in the day. That's how I reclaimed my power. And this is what a lot of people do to reclaim their power. They get angry, they throw a big fit, they make a big display in an attempt to do that. But what happens? They discharge all that energy, they look at the destruction, they're ashamed, and then the cycle goes back on, right? And there's this not being in your power is so insidious. So I thought, I literally don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to have a new mindset around this. And I had to admit that. And a lot of people are always asking, what is the right command? What is the best thing to say? What is, I want the magic words. And, we always say, let's start with, I don't know how. But we could literally say, I don't know how to have a new mindset. I don't know how to have new thoughts. I don't know what power looks like because it can feel wrong based on your childhood conditioning. If you know me and been following me, my parents, it was kind of tumultuous. I mentioned before that, my mom was married 3 times. In the kind of middle years, my mom was married to a man, and they both worked full-time jobs, and then they were putting sweat equity into a convenience store. And then our life became, once they went full-time in that store, everything was about the store. And so for about 2 years or more, we were straight up latchkey kids starting when I was about age 9, and I'm taking care of the younger ones. And that house better be clean. And if those younger ones did anything wrong, I got in trouble because I'm the oldest and I should have known better. Even though, you know, hey, they knew the rules too. But I had that extra pressure. So I was already conditioned as the oldest girl that I had extra responsibility on me that I wasn't ready to take on. And my needs just were not getting met. And I was a stressed out little kid. And I remember I didn't sleep a lot as a kid. So I didn't realize that this situation with my daughter was an extension of that. And what was actually up was an opportunity for healing. I just knew that I couldn't stop taking on more and more. If someone asked me for something, I said yes. I was going into, like with my partner, we were taking on more and more, and I was taking on more and more and more, and it just felt like there was no stopping point. So one day I was out with my daughter, and I had been doing all these daily commands. I'd set up this little group, and I said, I'm gonna be doing commands every day at 8 o'clock. Whoever wants to join me. I set up a little membership, and about 78 people joined me. And so that 15-minute commitment every day, I really can point back to that for 3 months of commanding my greatness, commanding my greatness. And whatever came up that day, I was doing that. And it's kind of similar to this, but it was a little different format. And one day I was out walking with my daughter, and we're making the loop around the park, and all of a sudden I just stopped. I had nothing prepared. I just came out and I said, "Honey, I need to talk to you." And she's like, "Okay." And I said, "I want you to know I'm not mad, and I'm not blaming you for anything, but I said something's got to change. I don't know how. I have set this up so perfectly that I'm paying all the bills, I'm keeping the house clean, I'm babysitting your kid, and I'm running this business, and you come home and you're not really doing anything. I know you're tired. You're so fried at the end of the day. I love you. I want to support you." She would just be so beat up from her job. And I said, "I'm 100% committed to your success, but this isn't working for me. We have to figure out something else." And it was such an empowering moment, because before that could have, my fear would have been that would have led to a fight or disharmony, or asking for my needs to be met would be wrong. That I would somehow be a bad mom, that I wasn't a good grandmother, that I wasn't a team player, right? That I wasn't doing what was good for the family. And I don't know if men go through this. I know men feel a lot of responsibility, but it's not just the physical labor, it's not all the tasks. Women do the emotional labor. And then, I was traveling too. So it was just a full plate. And my daughter, instead of being mad, just sat down and said, "Mom, I really didn't realize how much I had handed over to you, because things were working. It looked like things were working." She was coming home. The house was clean. Dinner was ready. Her kid was happy. Hey, then, did I do a good job? Yeah. And then at dinner, they would complain that I only talked about my business. Well, what else did I have to talk about? But then it was like, I said, I just don't have space to really do anything else or go do anything besides work. And I said, I didn't go into business so that I didn't have time or freedom. And she's like, "You're right." And we were able to just sit down and look at what we were doing. We looked at the financial situation, and it all just was the softest adjustment. I wonder what you're afraid of losing by taking back your power. And this is why we need to be able to spend time in observing and being present to ourselves, and really looking at our circumstances. If we notice that, hey, we're in something that's not working, but we don't feel like we have the power to shift it, that's your first clue that you've given away your power. So I just want to share a little quote with you. Pardon me 1 second. I'm going to leave it up there. Excuse me. Ultimately, we just have one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves, more and more peace, and to reflect it towards others. And the more peace there is in us, the more peace there will be in our troubled world. beautiful Eddie Hillomson. Isn't that beautiful? And I think that that's really what the key is in making that shift with my daughter. I couldn't come at it from a place of being angry or blaming. I kept looking at what in me created this. How is this serving me? How do I have this set up? And if we work one on one, there's a particular chart that I work with people on. Hey, there's where you are now, there's where you want to be, what's stopping you. And we look at what are the challenges and the blessings of your current situation. But then we look at the future and we go, hey, what are the opportunities and limitations? And then we even go a little deeper and go, what is the secret fear and what is the secret desire? And we are able to identify really quickly what that invisible block is that's stopping you from really creating and being the life, creating the life you want and being the person you want to be in it. Okay. So I had to come into that place of peace within myself and reclaim that power. And I started doing that personal work, and I started creating visualizations around what a life of having my power would look like. What would being loved and supported look like? What would being free of obligation? What would a better relationship with my daughter look like? Which we had an amazing relationship. We still do. And we still go through little tussles and working stuff out. There's a lot of stuff we're still healing. But I tell you what, I'm really proud of my relationship with my daughter, and she's proud of her relationship with me, and we are like this. But I couldn't be afraid of losing that relationship. I have to be committed to that better relationship I knew that was possible by me being in my power. And somehow what I realized was somehow I was not allowing her to be in her power. I was taking over her life. I really wasn't supporting her life. Yeah. So I had to really own what I had created there. So today in our one command session, what we're going to do is we really don't know what it looks like to be in our power in every sphere of our life. I mean, you may be really powerful at work. You may be incredible with your clients. You may be a whiz in certain areas of your life, but there could be areas of your life that are fragmented and separated where you have no power. And I talked about that in my relationships where like suddenly I'm like in a trance. I was running my relationship with my daughter from a trauma response, and that's I was running it from how I was trained, and that my only value was in giving away, in serving and doing right, and doing more than what was mine to do. Otherwise, I didn't feel like I had any value in my own family. And whatever's triggered you in this talk today, you can do your own command around it. But right now, we're going to expand out to an idea even greater about what is possible in owning our power. Okay? So I'm just going to walk you through some commands. We're going to go through the grounding very quickly. Just settle into your body. Feel your connection to the earth's connection to you. Take a couple of deep breaths as you bring your attention to your heart and that love in your heart and that beautiful master being that you are. And you do things for love. You do things because you love, because you care. And you just haven't known how to do it from a state of loving and caring for yourself. So between knowing and not knowing, let there only be love. With your eyes closed, very softly roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look up through the top of your head. And just send your consciousness up, up, up. And the higher you go, the faster you go. And soon you find yourself in this beautiful, velvety, black void of space. And just break through the darkness into the light of pure, open potential. Eyes up. We're going to state the command. Just follow along mentally. I don't know how. I am awake and aware of the ways I have given away my power. I only know that I am now observing and knowing all of the ways that I have done this for a very good reason. Now, and I am fulfilled. Just let that go. Let that expand out to an idea even greater. It serves more good in its fulfillment. Just let your eyes relax. Roll your eyes up. I don't know how to call back my power. I don't know where I have given away my power. I don't know why I've given away my power. I don't know how I have the right to my own power. I only know that I now reclaim my power and I am fulfilled. I don't know how, in reclaiming my power, my relationships, the relationships that I want and that I value, are drastically and greatly improved. And I don't know how, by reclaiming my power, the relationships that no longer serve me are released. I only know I am opening up to that which serves me now, and I let everything else go. And now just let that all go. Let that expand out to an idea even greater that serves more good in its fulfillment. And now just feel yourself coming back down into your body. And now let's just receive with gratitude and be in a state of gratitude. It's like, wow, I am so grateful for all the opportunities of growth in my life. I am so grateful for the strength and the power that I have developed. And I'm so grateful for my capacity to serve. I'm so grateful for the new me that I'm about to meet. And right now, just become aware of that energy starting to come into your body, of your own power. You don't have to go get it. It is already there. It's just been waiting. And just allow that new energy, that greater state of being in your power, of having the right and the authority to say yes to what you want to say yes to and no to what you don't want anymore. And as these new ideas begin to rewind and integrate, just be present and just allow these new thoughts, images, ideas, this greater possibility to arrive. Now, when you think about your power, and maybe as I told the story, it made you think about another situation in the past, or maybe that you're going through now. When you think about how you may have been giving away your power, what do you know now that you didn't know before? There may have been a really good reason that you did that, but what's a better reason to change it? Here we go. And of course, we always encourage everybody, be sure and write everything down. I have the worksheets in the description, and you can download this PDFs that's just straight from my Google Drive. So all you got to do is just download that PDF. Okay, but keep track of this, because really for this next, I would say 30 to 90 days. This is this period, no matter when you're watching this, but particularly now, today is the summer solstice, and it's about taking control of these two dueling sides of your nature. And this is the day of greatest balance. Okay, so this is your time to really start reclaiming your power. Okay, and to be thinking about all the sneaky ways you've given your power away. And the way what'll happen is it's not just from the past. It has literally put on blinders, and it starts limiting to you what you feel like is possible for you. And when you try to project into the future something that you want to do, you're assuming that you won't have the power or authority or the ability to do it. This is why this work is so important. So thank you so much. And what do we say? Hey, you get that idea to do something, you go for it. And your own inner therapist is going to be coming in and bringing in some information for you. When you do these daily one commands, your greater intelligence will start working with you and showing you where you need to make the change, and will help you in reframing the things. But if you need some help or assistance, of course, I'm here for you. This is what I do all day long, and I would love to work with you. Then it starts with us having a powerful conversation. I've got the link in the description on how to book a one-on-one with me. It's free, and we're just going to have a conversation about your situation. A lot of people get clarity just from that conversation, but if it looks like it's a fit for both of us to work together, we'll have that conversation too. All right, my love, I'm going to let you go. Until next time, this is Catherine Perry, the Big Vision Coach, and I witness your mastery. Mwah. Bye bye, everybody.